Bye. See you in the next video. Keep it real. I'm a sucker for a good contained thriller, no exit. It's basically set at a rest stop on a mountain road in a blizzard where none of the people can leave. So straight away it's reminiscent of The Hateful Eight, and that's an unfortunate comparison, which I'll get to later on. Story-wise, we have a young woman called Darby, played by Havana Rose Liu, who I initially thought was Lucy Liu's daughter, not because I'm racist, but because she looks very similar, and she's a phenomenal actor. So she plays a drug addict who breaks out of rehab to go and see her sick mother, and she has to travel from California to Salt Lake City, and she goes across the mountains, gets stuck in a blizzard, ends up at this rest stop, and she's out in the car park. She's trying to get a signal on her phone, and she discovers a little girl tied up in the back of a van. Inside the rest stop, we've got a bunch of characters, and she obviously knows that one of them is a kidnapper. It's very formulaic. It's very predictable up to a point. But there's a surprising twist, non-twist, where the obvious misdirection of one of the characters who's quite mental, and so obviously the kidnapper, that the likely twist is that he's not the kidnapper and he turns out to be the kidnapper. But there's another obvious plot twist after that, which you'll see coming a mile away. As I said, it's very predictable, and I was constantly expecting some massive twist. I thought for some reason that the little girl was going to turn out to be some sort of demon, or the kidnappers had kidnapped her to prevent the apocalypse or something like that. But no, it's literally what it says on the tin. It's just a cat and mouse game between Darby and the kidnappers. The reason that I'm recommending it, despite it being so predictable, is that it's only predictable up to a point. It doesn't really go full balls to the floor like Hateful Eight with exploding heads, which is what it needed. It's a good film as it is, but it could have been exceptional with a couple of little tweaks here and there. I think it could have done with being maybe 10 minutes shorter. I think there's a lot of stuff going on in the second act that could be taken away. The other actors are fairly nondescript and anonymous. You've probably seen them on TV programs over the years. The only other standout member of the cast is Dennis Haysbert, who is particularly good. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a huge amount to do, but when he's on screen, he obviously commands it. He's a very, very good actor. There's some technical drawbacks which I think take you out of it a little bit. There's some completely unnecessary CGI in the opening scenes. Given that it's just cars and mountains, I think it would have been much better and surely cheaper just to go out with a camera, even use stock footage. And I think that would have set the scene much better. Outdoor stuff is clearly done in the studio, and that takes you out of it a little bit, because the first act and the second act are a little bit slow. You've got time to ponder that. I think tightening up in the second act would have reduced the effect. But the film really comes into its own towards the end of the second act and in the third act, which are, given what's preceded it, quite surprising. It's quite brutal. In my opinion, it's not brutal enough. There's some very uncomfortable incidents, shall we say. I don't want to give too much away, but it's certainly worth watching for that. The acting is generally very good. As I've said, Havana Rose Liu is exceptional. I think if she had not been as engaging and as compelling as she actually is, this film would not have been watchable at all. I was genuinely surprised for a film released in 2022 that it wasn't woke as fuck. I mean, you could argue that it's woke. The bad guys are white males, but I think that's quite obvious early on in the film. And the film's really about the cat and mouse between the main character Darby and the kidnappers. I think also quite refreshing is that Darby's not a Mary Sue. She tries to fight the men and she gets beaten down, and that certainly endears you towards her character. If you just go in not expecting too much, and you might be pleasantly surprised. I think it's a good way to spend 95 minutes. So overall, a decent film and well worth a watch. It's on Disney Plus. Not much else I can say except keep it real. Keep it real. Oh wait, yes. Sorry, one more thing. Snacks. I had a sandwich and some potato salad. I can't remember what was in the sandwich though. Yeah, yeah. Anyway.